Hi. So I hope that you've been slightly intrigued by the idea of seeing things differently. In fact, let me just come off this. I'm going to walk you through what you see on screen, all of this, in a second. I know it looks complicated. It's much, much simpler than it might look. But first, let me talk to you this way. So you may not know who I am. So my name's Chris Gardner. I'm an investor and a mentor for coaches, consultants, and service providers. And the objective that I have when I'm working as a mentor for them is to use investment principles so that we can turn what seems like a day job into something that actually is almost like a machine, not necessarily a machine, but something that's going to be a very successful, smooth way of bringing in an income without it seeming like a job. So it's going to be bringing in an income so you've got more capacity and more freedom. And the model that this spreadsheet that you can now see on the screen is a tool that I've built that I used when I'm starting working with clients, because it kind of opens up their minds and it makes them realise, oh, there's a very different way of seeing things, and therefore there's a very different way of thinking about things, and they can set their businesses up in a much easier way. So that's what this is all about. What I'll do here is quickly just show you what it reveals, if you like, and then I invite you to download your get access to your version so you can play with the numbers and make it your very own, because when you do that you'll be able to realise the opportunity that's maybe unseen yet in your business right now. So let's start with just, although there's a lot on the screen, I just want to make it clear that all you have to do is, or the only things that you need to do are to look at or change anything that's in the yellow cells. Right, so all the rest is worked out for you, and you can change these numbers whatever you want. The idea is that at the end you'll get this line, which you can see here is mostly green at the moment, but this will be the income level that will be the result of your decisions in the yellow cells, right? And the idea to start with is, unlike what many people, how many people approach their business, they often start by saying, "Oh, we need more leads. That we just need more clients, and I'll just charge what I can," and we end up on this hamster wheel, right? And this is it's the most common way, especially for service providers, the most common way to work, but it takes you into being stuck in a job. So in this, what we do here instead is we start with, well, what's the outcome we want, right? What's the investment, if you like? What are we aiming to achieve? So this number here, I call this the FSTN, which stands for Financial Security Target Number. So put your number, when you download your version, put your number in there, and in whatever currency that you're in. So that you're in. So I'm based in the UK. So I've got £5,000, which is a kind of average place that many people start by saying, actually, if I could get enough, like 5,000 of income in, you can make it 20,000, 50,000, 2,000, whatever you wanted. There's nothing special about, there's nothing meaningful behind it. Whatever the point is to make it yours, right? So here I've got 5,000 as a starting point, and then down here we've got two areas. One is about capacity, and the other is dynamics. And capacity is the bit that so many people don't think about when they're just trying to earn money from their knowledge, their know-how, and advising and helping their clients, right? And we start with this because the purpose of a business, in my view, is not to be busy. The purpose of a business is to have 3 F's: the financial security, which is what this is all about, and freedom, as well as fulfillment. So we start with, what's the capacity that you choose to operate at? So you've got personal time, you've got free time, and the idea is you've got 2 columns here. One is for where you're offering something like a transaction, you're offering a one-off. So it could be that you're doing a project with a client and it's a one-off, it's a fairly short project, or it's a one-off session or something like that. Essentially, it's a one-off piece of work. It may be that it lasts 2 hours, it may be that it lasts a couple of months, but it's one-off, it's bounded, and that's the end of the transaction with the client, right? And the other column, this one, is where it's an ongoing relationship. So this is where the essence is a transaction versus a relationship, right? And you may have both, and I'll show you the effect of having both. But you start with what's the maximum client capacity in a month that you want to have. So I've got a number in here which is 10, but you might say, well, I only want to have 3, depending entirely on the kind of work you do. I want to have a capacity to only work with 3 clients on a transactional, on a project basis each month. It might be 30 clients, right? Whatever you decide, but that's your capacity. And how many do you want to work with on a recurring basis, on a transactional? So you might say, well, I only want to work with 10 or 2 or 5 or 50 or whatever your number is. And again, it entirely depends on the kind of work you're doing with your clients, right? The next row here is is how long does that take? So these one-offs, this could be, and this is in months. So it might be that your projects on average last 2 months per client. I've set it by default to say it's 1. It's a sort of fairly short intervention with a client. But you can play with a number when you download your sheet, right? And for the ongoing, it might be a 12-month relationship. It might be a 6-month relationship. It might be a 3-month relationship, right? I'm going to put it back to 12. And then now we get to the dynamics of it. So now you've set your capacity. You'll see that if your plans in this area in the dynamics, they will now be maxed out at that capacity. You'll always be within the capacity, and it's important to know that so that you don't get maxed out in life. So what are the prices for your offers? So it could be, for example, that you say, well, I only want to charge, say, £20 for one set, or let's say £60, and it's one session. That's my transaction. So I can support 30 clients in a month for per session on a transaction basis. Or it might be that I'm going to do a training session or a workshop, and maybe it's £500, or it's more than that. So whatever your price is for a project or a transaction type thing. And similarly, what's the price that you want to charge, or that you may find you have to charge for your per month for your ongoing type of work? And at this stage, and one of the hardest things to do to effectively use this tool is to let go of any of your preconceptions. You may be thinking, well, actually, I don't have an ongoing thing, or I can only charge so much per session, or whatever your way of thinking is. I can't charge more than £80, or everybody will have their version of some kind of limiting belief, right? And for now, I'm inviting you to just suspend judgment and not worry about, well, what am I going to deliver for £500 or £1,500 or whatever it might be. Don't worry yet about what you will do for the money. We just want to put the money in to this particular place, right? And then we can then play with these numbers. Now, these are really interesting, and because now you can say, right, if this is now all designing to achieve a particular outcome. So this, whatever number you put up here in the big yellow box. So what if in this scenario you were planning to add just 2 new clients every month, 2 clients for a one-off, and this one is for £500. Now you can see the one-off and the recurring. So the one-off, you're going to get 2 new clients each month, and because it's only 1 month duration, there'll always be 2 active clients. So each month you're going to have £1,000, right? 2 lots of £500, and that's way lower than the capacity of 30, so capacity is fine. If your capacity was maybe 4, and you said, I want to bring in 5 a month, it'll cap it out at 4 because you haven't got capacity for 5, right? Let's go back to 2 for a second. I'm going to just change. I'm not going to explain too much of this in detail now. I'll leave it for you to play with. But the key thing here is, imagine you are now bringing just 2 clients in a month for a £500 thing, whatever that is, right? And what if you could turn half of those, 50%, in other words, just one of those each month, from that one-off into an ongoing relationship where you were charging whatever you put in here, £500 a month, right? What would that look like, right? Well, obviously you would be adding, this is the recurring bit, so you'd have nobody in the first month because that's the first one. You'd have these 2 and no recurring. And then in the second month, because it's after 1 month, one of those 2, because it's 50%, would sign up for £500 a month. And that would keep adding by 1 every month, because you're adding 2 every month here, and half of those are turning into into ongoing. Right now, you can see immediately that if you started from zero and you just focused not on doing loads, but on bringing in 2 clients a month for that £500 thing, whatever it is, and then half of those turned into a recurring client that were paying £500 a month, for example, then you would reach your target of 5,000 by month 9, right? And it would keep growing up to your capacity, whatever you decide. Here is your capacity, which here I put 10, and you can see it's maxed out at 10 at that stage, right? And now you can start playing with the numbers because you can start to see the impact of these. So what if the 500 was actually 750, for example? Well, look, that 5,000 is no longer month 9, it's come forward to month 7, right? What if it wasn't 2 that you were bringing each month, it was, say, 1 a week or 4 every month, right? Suddenly, after only 3 months, you've brought this forward, and you just bring 4 people in on a transaction basis, and even if that was just, say, 250 or something like that, because that's not the point for this strategy, and you were to be able to enroll half of them because they got a good result here, and they say yes, we want more, and to continue supporting them. With half of them, you can see how quickly you can get to the target number. And how different is that from, you can see here, this is to get 5,000, right? But how different is that approach to say just 4, I'm just going to focus on bringing in 1 a week on whatever that, I'm going to put that back to 500. And what if I was charging 500 a month for each of those? From a standing start, you get to this level at 5,000 in just 4 months, right? Not by doing loads of stuff, because in order to get 4 people in a month to a transactional thing at £500, do you think you need to do a load of stuff, or can you be much more picky and choosy? Because by the time you've reached your capacity here of 10 clients at 500 a month, you only ever need 10 clients well, actually you would have had double that, 20. Now this allows you to carry on because you're bringing more in, you're just not turning them into recurring because you've maxed out your capacity. But that's detail for now. The point is, can you find 20 people over the next 4 months, 16, 20 people over the next 4 months, next 5 months, next 6 months, just 20 people if this was your dynamic pricing, right? Never mind, I don't know, it's hard to think about, but never mind what you'd actually offer that's going to be worth the 500 or whatever, right? So how simple would your growth of business and how much more time capacity would you have compared with, I need more leads, I need to find more people, which is the hamster wheel that so many people get stuck in. So the point here it's a tool that you can use and you can play. And I get feedback all the time saying this is mind-blowing. It's a complete game changer. It completely changes the way I think about business. And that's what I've summarised here. When you see things differently, you can think differently. So I hope you can read this on the screen, because these are the common problems I hear all the time about. Currently, I've got too much to do. Well, actually, when you start planning things in a different way, put your numbers in, then in the future you realise you may be able to have all the income you need with fewer clients and have more space. So too much to do turns into fewer clients, right? Similarly, the people say, well, I can't change my prices. I can't, my prices are based on what my competitors charge or what I think I can get away with. I couldn't charge £500, right? When it's, when I have to charge £50 per hour or something like that, right? Or my clients will, in my competition, and they charge something and that constrains this. At this stage, and it's just a leap of faith. It's hard to do, I know, but a leap of faith. At this stage, don't be constrained by that, because the reality is you're not constrained by competition. What you can do is put something together. This is what I help people do. Put something together, an offer that their market, that their audience really need. And we're not talking about a big audience. We're talking about small numbers of people who have a particular problem. That's the magic of it. So that you'll be able to own the market with no competition. And it just gets out of this hamster wheel of need more leads. So you don't need more leads, more and more leads. You need to attract the right people. It's much more like you go picking, when you've got a really good offer, picking what the clients, the few clients you need, than chasing like everybody else is playing, right? Don't play that game anymore. And then in terms of actually them saying, well, for that price, yes, I'm going to become a client. If currently you're trying to persuade people to buy, when you know you actually don't need very many clients, when you've got a model like this, it changes the future because you only offer it to people who are already ready to buy. We're not persuading anybody because we don't need many, right? It's a completely different way of thinking, of seeing the business and then thinking about how we're going to do this. So, finally, this is a sort of deeper one perhaps, but if you currently have self-doubt and you think, oh, I've got imposter syndrome, or I'm not as good as other people, or people have got more experience than me, or people have got a bigger audience than me, well, it's not about them. It's just what we want is just this, and we start to get clear on it. And we only want a few clients. You can put your numbers in and it changes the game entirely. But we only need a few clients in order to get what you really need. So it's a way of liberating, and you build on your existing strengths, because what you're going to help your clients with, right, and charge them for is stuff that you are already good at. That's the principle, right? Very deep. There's a lot in here, and I don't want to overload this. It's probably long enough already as a video. But I hope it's really going to be helpful for you. So when you download your copy and access that, you'll be able to play with the numbers. Final little part just to demonstrate. What if 5,000 is not very meaningful to you and you wanted to double that, right? You want to get 10,000. Well, firstly, you can see with these dynamics, we never get there. Why don't we get there? Because we're maxed out here with 10 clients, because we've put our capacity as 10 clients. All right. Now you can do two things about that. One is you can change the way, or three things actually. You can change the capacity to say not 10 but 20, in which case then you can reach the number. But that if you're doing that as one-to-one, you may have more time. It may take more time. So you might increase the capacity to 20, but you can do that in less time by having, instead of one-to-one, you could do something in groups. Right? So this is a way of thinking about the capacity. Secondly, of course, you can say, well, actually, because I only want very few, I'm looking for a few people who've got a problem they will invest in. So I want to be able to charge, for example, $1,500 a month. And if I was to get $1,500 a month, you can now start to see what the capacity is, right? Because with a capacity of 20, well, you're not going to need 20. In order to get 10, you only need 6, right? So if I put a capacity of 6, you'd max out at 11, right? But that's if you had $1,500 a month. Now, could you offer something at $1,500 a month and get people? Could you find 6 people like that? Interesting, right? And if you know how to put an offer together, and I can help with that if that's the next stumbling block for you. But that's the stuff that we do. So I want you to play with the numbers. You can think big, think small, play with the dynamics. But this is a very different approach from starting with the idea of how do I get more clients. In this scenario, you start with by saying I want this outcome and I want the smoothest, simplest way to do that. And you don't do that by doing more and more, right? If you wanted, go back to 5,000. If you wanted 5,000, quite often, you'd be saying, well, I charge, let's say, £100 per session or £100 per hour, right? And I don't have an ongoing thing, so I just need to have, if I had 30 clients in a month, 30 clients in a month would bring in, I've only got capacity of 4. I need to increase my capacity to 50. So if I had if I was charging £30 an hour, £30 a session, and I was selling 30 hours a month, I'd obviously get 3,000. And that's a lot of work, right? Finding 30 clients. If that's 30 clients every month, it's no wonder people are on this hamster wheel, right? So use the tool. If you've got any questions, just DM me or email me or whatever. I'm here to help. Because when you start to tune into this different way of thinking, suddenly you move from needing 360 clients in a year to needing 20 clients. If we did this, and we just had, what if we just had one new client a month, and we had one every 2 months sign up. There we are. With just one new client a month, that first thing, and half of them signed up. So one every 2 months signs up. Maybe it's a 2-month intervention or something like that. We get to where the 5,000, get to our target number in 8 months without a load of hassle. Just one new client a month. Do you think it would take you 8 months to find one a month, right? And sign them up? No, it's probably going to be more like 2 a month and bring it forward to month 4 or 5, right? It completely changes the game. So, and of course, if you can sign up more than 50%, what if it was only 25%? Well, there you go. It'll still take 8 months. So that's the idea. I hope you find this really helpful as a starting point. It is a completely different way of seeing what you could do with business. And if you want to put this into practice, seeing it is one thing. Being able to implement it and have the few key ingredients that make this work is quite different. And then get in touch. But we may be in touch. I may be able to email you and if we go forward with this. So I hope that's really helpful. I hope the quiz that you took beforehand was just something quite thought-provoking for you and focusing on where you need, or helping you highlight where you need to focus, where the bottleneck is. And this is a game changer for you. So that's it for now. I look forward to hearing from you if you want some help, and I look forward to your progress. All the best for now. Cheers.